All right. Back on the Sort of Sports podcast, on to episode 18 now. I shouldn't be surprised by that number because I'm surprised every time. So I'm not going to be surprised. I am not surprised by the number 18. It seems like a very right number for doing this for a little over a year. I haven't done the math on how many that is per week. I think that's like every 3 weeks, right? No? Let me I should do this, right? So it'd be 52 divided by 16 because I did 16. Yeah, 3.25 exactly. So every 3 weeks and a quarter, you should expect an episode from me if you were watching all my episodes from last year and you somehow got a hold of this video so you know what's going to happen in the future. So, yeah. I don't know why I did that, but I found it quite humorous, and I hope you did too. If not, that really sucks for you. You should find it more humorous, and you'd have more joy in life. All right, so today, I actually have a very unscripted video today. I haven't done too much looking at. I mean, there's numbers I'm going to be looking at, some scoring stuff, some guys' batting averages, as always, mostly on base percentages, though, because that's the better stat. We all know this. But we're just going to be looking over. First off, we're going to start with NBA standings. Then we're going to go into Dune a little bit, and then we're going to talk about my NBA preview. But it's really not much scripted for this one because I just want to do my World Series preview. Did I say NBA preview? I meant to say World Series preview. I'm going into the World Series preview here, so I wanted to just really dive into that, give you my full thoughts. The first game was last night, and I know that I already said on the BS with Quinn that was uploaded yesterday. We always filmed on Mondays, but it doesn't always get uploaded immediately because it takes me a little bit to edit. But I did say that the Braves are going to take game one. Then I expected the Astros to take, I think I said 2 more or 3 more. Then the Braves take 1, then the Astros win whatever they need. Like, the Astros would win out the rest. So I expected to go 6 games. Astros win. So according to what I predicted, they're currently on pace. So that's kind of fun. I enjoy being right. That sounds really smug. It kind of is, but we're gonna not focus on how smug that sounded. So yeah, that's why I waited a day, and now we're gonna go into the full World Series preview. But that's gonna be last. First off, we're gonna start off with just the NBA. I mean, there's only one undefeated team in the Eastern Conference, and there's 2 in the West, the Jazz and the Warriors. Both pretty unsurprising, but the Bulls 4-0. Props, guys, props. It's fun to see the Bulls do well, honestly. They haven't had a big, they haven't had a really good Bulls team since MJ, essentially. I mean, never mind. Cut that. Derrick Rose. We can't underrate Derrick Rose. We haven't had a really good Bulls team since Derrick Rose, and before that, it was really MJ. There was really nothing going on there in the 2000s, and then they had their new big, because, the way teams work is you have a big run, that ends up going away. Then you flounder for a bit, and then you have another big run. That's the natural way it should work. Now, granted, some teams can break that mold, like the New England Patriots are probably only going to have 1 year of mediocrity. Like, I just texted Quinn last night. I know this is a Sort of Sports podcast and not the BS, but I had to bring this up. Yesterday I got out of the shower and I just randomly texted Quinn. I was like, hey, no reason, it just randomly hit me, but I think the Patriots are going to beat the Chargers. And I know I said on the Big Finish that I'm going to have the Chargers win, but I just got this random feeling. And he sent back, he was laughing. He's like, there's no way. Stick to your Big Finish prediction. I don't think that's going to happen. But honestly, I just got a feeling about this Patriots team. I think they kind of remind me of the Bills, Josh Allen's first year, where it's like, oh, I can see where this is going, but it's going to take a bit. And then his second year, they kind of exploded quietly, and then his third year, which is last year, 2020 season, they were just awesome. And then this year, they're really good again. So here's a decent amount of similarities there, except I think the Patriots are going to be like kind of 2019 and 2020 Bills simultaneously next year. They're going to explode, but it's going to be a lot louder than the Bills explosion the first year they did well was when they snuck into the wild card. But yeah, go back to the NBA. The Knicks, Hornets, Bulls, Bucks, Heat, Wizards, and Hawks, first 7 in the East that only have 1 loss. In the West, 1 loss or less, because the Bulls are undefeated, of course. Then in the West, the only teams with 1 loss or less are the Timberwolves, Grizzlies, Mavericks, Jazz, Warriors. Lakers are 2-2. People are getting very worried. It always takes the big 3 time to gel, and they're writing all these articles now. It's like, can the Lakers fix these problems? Da-da-da-da-da. This always happens. Don't overreact. That is what I did with the NFL season. I mean, I kind of overreacted and was like, oh man, the Raiders. What do you think about the Raiders? It always happens with the Raiders. The Raiders always start hot. Same thing with big threes. Big threes always don't start off that well. Then it comes around. You almost always, the pendulum swings back. Granted, maybe they aren't that good. Maybe this is the 2013 Lakers, and they're going to be a massive disappointment. But honestly, we got to wait and see. We can't go off 4 games. Now, I do think they play tonight, and I wonder who they're playing, because they barely beat, I will say, they did barely beat the Spurs in an overtime game. So that should be worrisome. Oh, yeah, tonight they play 8 p.m. They're against the Thunder. The Thunder are 0-4, and it looks like the Thunder are going to have a very bad year. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is obviously very good at the whole basketball thing. I think he's going to be an all-star eventually. I think he's a really nice piece for them. And I kind of like Josh Giddey. I'm not the highest on Josh Giddey. I know a lot of people are. I am not. And then Lou Dort is good. I like Lou Dort a lot. That's what's weird about the Thunder, though, is that I know Sam Presti's smart for getting all these first-round picks, but at some point, you have to draft people. You have to use those picks. And he just keeps trading for more and more picks. And I'm like, eventually you're just going to be a place of picks and all these guys. I'm like, you need to build a team eventually. And granted, he can definitely still do that. I mean, in every 2K sim, they become like a powerhouse. But I'm honestly thinking there needs to be a point, like if, let's say in a world where like a franchise-altering star was available, right? Let's say for some reason or another, like Luka Doncic wanted out, right, of the Mavericks, and they had already extended him, and he wants out, so they're going to trade him. That is when you say, here, you can have the chest. That's like the way you use those picks, honestly, because I understand the idea of more swings at the plate, more first-round picks, but if you're always getting first-round picks in the 6, 7, 8 spot, are you ever going to hit on like a Jalen Green? Which, I mean, it might be too excited for me to already put Jalen Green in that conversation, but I'm saying I really like what Jalen Green, Cade Cunningham, and Evan Mobley all provide. I think all 3 of them are going to be very good. And Scotty Barnes has looked really good, too. Props to Scotty Barnes. If you're not paying attention to Scotty Barnes, you really should be. He's been good. I think Mobley, honestly, I'm cool with the Cavs running the really big 3 lineup with Lowry Markkanen, Jared Allen, and Mobley. I think eventually they're going to move Lowry off the team, but for the time being, cool with him. I love Jared Allen. We all know that. And I'm really into Mobley, so I think they should run that for a while. But whenever it comes time to start competing for playoffs or championships, I don't think the Cavs are going to be running that. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe JB Bickerstaff's got to figure it out. I would love to see my Cavs be a playoff team. I don't think it's happening this year, but I'm hoping next year. Maybe we hit a play-in game and lose in it. That'd be pretty cool. I might have underrated the Knicks. I kind of forgot Kemba went there. Like, I remembered, but I wasn't really thinking about it. He fits really nicely in that system, like the Tom Thibodeau system. I think he's going to be really going to thrive there, but I like what they got going on right now. They look good. Randall looks back to form. I love Julius Randle. Could we see a Julius Randle for MVP thing if the Knicks are a top 3 seed? I think so. I really do, but I still stand by we're setting up a perfect Nets KD MVP narrative. Like, it looks perfect because Harden's struggling right now. KD just starts going off and gets him to a top 2, top 3 seed. Whew, that's going to be tough to argue against an MVP case. Granted, another good one's Giannis, but I'm starting to think the Bucks are going to be like the 3 or 4 seed. And then just, like, if they were the 3 seed, that seems very realistic. They're the 3 seed, and then they end up beating the 2 seed in the semis and going on to, they were the 3 seed last year, so it'd be the same type of thing as last year. Because I still stand by. I think the Bucks are a championship level team, but I'd love to see the Knicks in the Eastern Conference Finals are better than I predicted them. But I'm not sure because the thing with the Knicks is you have to really bet on the fact that Julius is going to stay good and Kemba is going to play to his ability. And last couple years, Kemba has not played to his ability, and I should have put more faith in my guy Julius. But you also got to put faith in Tom Thibodeau. But I'm getting off topic. This is what's kind of fun, but also the danger of doing these heavily unscripted episodes that we get a lot off topic. And by we, I mean myself. I don't know why I referred to myself as 2 people. That was weird. But back to what I was saying is if you're the Thunder and you just keep picking 6, 7, 8, 9, you're almost better off at some point to just give up all those picks and use them as assets eventually. And I hope that's what they eventually do and get a player like Luka Doncic if he ever became available, or Zion if Zion ever became available. How much would the NBA cry if Zion went to Oklahoma City? Yeah, like he went from New Orleans, already not a huge basketball market, to Oklahoma City, which I'm sorry, OKC fans, but you are not a huge huge basketball city. You are not in Miami. You are not in LA. You are not in New York. I mean, even Toronto's kind of becoming a big deal. People like going to the Raps. People really like going to Raptors. Brooklyn basically feeds into New York. And then, I mean, Chicago kind of is. People like going to the Bulls because MJ and Chicago is a big city. And then Golden State's kind of become a decently big market because of like what Curry and all of them. But they've always been a pretty big deal. And then the Clippers, I guess the Clippers are trying. Kawhi's trying to change the narrative, but right now Kawhi's not even there. What I'm saying is those big market teams are always going to get the bigger guys, whereas like the Thunder are kind of on the level of like the Pacers, where it's like, good luck, guys. Good luck. So, I'm sorry, it's just the truth. So, yeah, basically the NBA, it's definitely a wait-and-see situation. MVP, I still feel confident that it's going to be like KD or Giannis. But I'd love to see like a Julius Randle or maybe even some Zach LaVine votes get in there. That'd be sweet. But it looks like we're setting up for another Hood Classic season. I should also mention the Hornets look great. Very happy to see that because they have a great young team. They might be a little ahead of schedule on their rebuild. Kind of like the Cincinnati Bengals. But granted, it's very early to say anything. Also, Wagner for the Magic looks like a stud. Got to hand to him. He's already better than I think his brother. Franz is looking good. So, yeah, I like what the Magic got with him and Suggs. I think Cole Anthony's good too, but it's the Magic, so you definitely have to see it come together. The only team that's 0-3, and other than the Thunder 0-4, but you know what I mean. The only team that hasn't won a game yet is my Pistons. I love the Pistons. They're probably my third favorite team. I love what they got going on. It's going to come together eventually, but I think this season I'd like to see them, and I still think they have a chance to make the play-in. But granted, I'm making a lot of accusations for no team having played over 4 games. So, I mean, right now, we are legitimately busting out the calculator again. See, we're on the math pod now. 20.5 through the season. 20.5 through the season. If it was a fraction, we are 120.5 through the season. That is some weird math because I'm having a half on the denominator, and this is no longer a math podcast because my second math equation, I already broke all the big rules. I really broke the big rules for the math podcast. I'm very sorry. We're no longer the sort of math podcast. We're just sports. We're sort of sports. We can't do math. It's not good. I can read you baseball numbers though, but after we talk about Dune. So Dune. All right, let me give you the rundown. You're like, Ryan, all right, I heard you talking about this on the BS because I'm a big fan, right? I love watching all your stuff. First of all, thank you. I really appreciate that. You don't have to compliment me like that, but I appreciate it because I'm kind of smug. But I don't want to be too smug, so I'm just going to say thank you. I appreciate it. We tried to balance the smug with the humbleness. Now, it's a lot more smug, though, which isn't good. But, all right, enough of the smug podcast. We don't want that either. So here we are with the cast for Dune. I'm like, all right, well, I'm sure you know some of these names. We've got Dave Bautista. That's right, Drax from Guardians of the Galaxy. We've got David Dastmalchiar. I think that's how you say that. I always mess up his name, but the point is he's Polka Dot Man in Suicide Squad. He's also one of Luis's friends in Ant-Man. You know him if you saw him. He's in a lot of movies. He's in this movie. Then Josh Brolin, you know him, Thanos. The whole movie I watched, I was like, wait, that's Thanos' voice. And it took me a while for my suspension of disbelief to kick in and me not to hear Thanos' voice. Like, literally, it was until halfway through the movie I stopped hearing it. Harvey A. Bardem, you know him. He's the bad guy in No Country for Old Men. He's the bad guy in Skyfall. Great actor. He was also in Pirates of the Caribbean 5. If you went and saw that, oh my. Stellan Skarsgård, you know him too. He's a good actor. More of a character actor. One of his bigger roles is he's in the Avengers movie. And in Thor movies, he is Victor Selvig, a scientist. Oscar Isaac, you obviously know who Oscar Isaac is. Come on, guys. Poe Dameron from Star Wars. And that's not his only big film, but I'm saying being in Star Wars is usually a big thing. And then Jason Momoa, you obviously know Jason Momoa from Game of Thrones. Maybe you watched C on Apple TV+. If so, you're probably a lot more artistically minded than I am because I didn't watch that. But I watched him in Aquaman, and I like Aquaman. It's a fun movie. Then Rebecca Ferguson's in it. You're going to know Rebecca Ferguson. I don't really know what exactly the definitive Rebecca Ferguson role would be, but she's very good in like everything she's in. I've seen her in a good amount of movies because she's in Mission Impossible. Pretty sure she was in The Greatest Showman. Yeah, she was in Greatest Showman now I think about it. But she's great. she's always good in every movie I see her in. So good job, Rebecca Ferguson. Then there's Zendaya. You know Zendaya. Maybe you watched Shake It Up when you were younger. If so, you and me both. Shake It Up. I actually feel like that show does not hold up. Like, to be perfectly honest, that's one of those Disney Channel shows that doesn't hold up. It's not like Good Luck Charlie. But Zendaya, obviously now she's big for being Mary Jane Watson, MJ, and Spider-Man. So that's cool because Spider-Man's the best movies, and MJ is a great love interest for him. So, and then you know who Timothée Chalamet is. I don't have to explain that to you, and I hope I'm saying his name right. I think I do, but I'm not 100% sure because I haven't heard people say his name in a while. Because I used to say it like Chalamet, and then I was like, oh wait, he, that's not. Somebody was like, hey, it's not how you say that. It's Chalamet, and I was like, oh, okay. But I think it was Chalamet. I think I'm saying it right. Point is, you know who Timothée Chalamet is. He's a big deal. So now that I've given you the cast, you're like, wow, that's a really big cast. Who's this directed by, and why were you going on about this music? Well, the music's from Hans Zimmer, which is the guy, he's worked on, like, name a movie that's got good music, he's probably worked on it. He's done so many movies, it's insane. One of the he helped out on The Lion King. He did the music for Inception. Here's the Academy Awards he's been nominated for. He was nominated for Rain Man for the score. He won for Lion King, the score. He was nominated for music or comedy. These are all score nominations. I should stop reading what they are. The Preacher's Wife, As Good as It Gets, The Prince of Egypt. That movie's got amazing music. The Thin Red Line, Gladiator, Sherlock Holmes, Inception, Interstellar, and Dunkirk. He really likes to work with my guy Nolan, and I don't blame him because I feel like working with Nolan would be like working with this big genius, and that's probably fun. So, the sequel just got greenlit. The movie is directed by Denis Villeneuve, and he made Blade Runner 2049. He also made the movie Arrival with Amy Adams. It was a really good movie about aliens and stuff. Very slow movie. This movie is not afraid to be slow. It definitely feels like part one. It literally is part one. They just didn't want to put that in the poster. It literally says in the movie, when the movie opens, Dune Part 1. If you don't go see it in the theaters, I understand, but I really recommend it because the score's so good and the cinematography is amazing. It's such a unique movie, and it's a huge, big budget movie. $165 million were put into this movie, as that's the budget. And I think it just broke on its box office enough for them to, they just greenlit the sequel today that's going to come out in 2023. So I'm kind of sad we have to wait, but I'm going to Box Office Mojo right now to check, but it must have made a good enough amount of money for them to be like, well, okay. So right now, it has currently grossed worldwide $223 million. So it just about doubled its budget, but they don't always tell the truth on the budget. What I've heard is you usually double the budget, and that's what it really is because they don't factor in like marketing and all that. So I think it probably just broke even, and that it's only been out 5 days in America, so it should consistently go up. Worldwide, it's made $182 million. So that puts into perspective, domestically in the U.S., it's only made $41 million. That'll probably at least double, within the next 2 to 3 weeks because it's really good. Now, it is a very long movie. It's 2 hours and 35 minutes. And now you're probably asking, Ryan, you've talked so much about this movie, and you haven't really told what it's about. Well, it's like this big space epic. I would kind of hearken it to like Lord of the Rings. But it definitely, I will say, you got to go into the movie knowing it's part one because it definitely it's very much a lot of setup. And it's a very entertaining setup, but this isn't like the enjoyment of this movie is really in like 5 years is going to depend on if the sequel comes out. And I think now that we know the sequel's coming out, you definitely have to see this because this is going to set you up for the second one, which I think will be even better than this. This movie's like really good. I really like all the character moments. It's about Paul, who is basically heir to the throne, and they get put on this planet to his father does and his house by the big space emperor to run this planet. I don't want to tell you too much because there's a lot of good twists and turns, but basically Paul is your main character, and his family is entrusted with the protection of spice, which is like the most powerful resource in the galaxy. So I don't really tell you too much because there's a lot to go in here. It is a lot of setup and a lot of information to take in, but I think they do it really well, and it's a very beautiful film, and I'm just happy to see like a big budget new thing that's unique and new. Granted, it is based off a book, but this book was, thought to be unadaptable. So it's very exciting that something big and new is coming in, because I am getting slightly worried, and this works as perfectly into, let me finish this up. Definitely go see Dune. Sequel will be out in 2 years. They're saying it's October 20th, 2023. That movie's going to be better than this one, and this movie is probably the best movie I've seen all year. So that puts it in perspective for you. Please go see it. It's so good. You definitely won't regret it. And if you don't like it, I'm sorry. You can be very upset, but at least you got to watch something good, because it is objectively good. And if you don't like it, well, everything's subjective. So I guess if you don't like it, I'm sorry. You and I don't have the same opinion. And next time you can be like, no, Ryan, I'm not seeing Spider-Man 5 times, because I'm going to go see Dune again because I liked it that much. And that's fine. But you should give it a shot, because it's very good, and I would love for it to make money. So thank you. It also is on HBO Max if you have that. So you can always watch it there, and you can be like, wow, Ryan, is so good. I'm going to go see it in theaters. And I'll be like, you know what? I'm glad you agreed with me, because this is the Smug Podcast. No, I'm kidding. All right, so The Eternals. This is a quick aside for The Eternals. We're talking about Marvel movies. I'm a little scared after I went and I saw Shang-Chi. I'm a big Marvel fan. We all know that. I went and saw Shang-Chi. I went and saw Black Widow. Black Widow is the most 6 out of 10 movie I think I've ever watched. It was so, okay. I didn't know what to do. I kind of forget what happened in it. It was just the most solid movie. Shang-Chi, it was, so unique and interesting at the start, and then as it went on, it became more and more, generic, I guess, and that's weird. I didn't like that. I was upset. So I'm just starting to get scared that Marvel, because Disney owns it and knows how marketable and profitable it is, they're starting to overly formulaize them, where they're becoming more formulaic, and I don't like that, because your best Marvel movies came out of being unique. Guardians of the Galaxy, very unique. It pretty much changed up the whole way they wrote their movies. They started writing everything more Guardians of the Galaxy-like. And then off Guardians of the Galaxy, you get Thor 3, which is one of the best MCU films. I feel like everyone I've ever talked to loves Thor Ragnarok. Everybody knows it's one of the best, especially because the first 2 Thor movies are some of the weakest ones. I think Thor 2, The Dark World, is seriously the worst Marvel movie. So, and Thor 1 is nothing to get excited about. It's painfully average. So Thor 3 was essentially a comedy movie with some action elements. It was like a buddy cop comedy. It was great, and that changed up the formula. Spider-Man, is a high school comedy. They benefit when they all have different tones and different feels. Spider-Man's a high school comedy with a Spider-Man movie in it, and then Thor 3 is this big buddy cop movie, and then Guardians of the Galaxy is, I don't even really know what to describe Guardians of the Galaxy as, but it's become very popular to write movies like Guardians of the Galaxy because it was so out of nowhere, and it's changed the way. It was a cultural shift, I think. It was, especially of Marvel movies. They started writing everything more like that. Obviously, Infinity War and Endgame feel like big, massive epics. They don't have the same feel as Spider-Man, and they shouldn't. I'm a little worried that everything is starting to feel vanilla. And while I love vanilla, even though I go to, here's a perfect example. We'll go with my favorite pop, right? My favorite pop is probably, honestly, this, maybe Dr. Pepper. I feel like Dr. Pepper is very reliable. I always like Dr. Pepper. It's Dr. Pepper or Coke, right? We'll just say it's Dr. Pepper, for example. I don't always drink Dr. Pepper. Sometimes I want to have something else. Doesn't mean Dr. Pepper is my favorite. It's just I wouldn't want to drink it all the time. I'm saying I really like Guardians of the Galaxy, but if you write every movie like it, when you make every movie written the same, I'm going to get real sick of it, even though I love your movies and I love what you're doing. I think the uniqueness is what keeps Marvel interesting, and if they start to make it all feel the same, and DC's over here pumping out movies like The Batman with Robert Pattinson, they're going to take the lead. And I used to like DC more when I was younger. Then I started liking Marvel more because I read X-Men comic books, and I was like, whoa, they got X-Men and Spider-Man? This place is sick. So I really started liking them. And their movies are better, and I love the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies. They're some of my favorite movies, so that really got a hold of me. But, yeah, I'm just a little scared because, I want Marvel to succeed in these new stories they're trying to tell with Kang the Conqueror. And that's why I really liked Loki. I liked what Loki was doing. I didn't get to watch all of it because our streaming at my house is very hard to do. But Loki, what I've seen of it, some of the episodes I've seen, I really like what it's got going on. And yeah, I'm just saying, for a man who doesn't have the best Wi-Fi connection, watching Loki very pixelated on an iPhone, it was still good. So I like it when they do more unique things. That's the way they're going to be able to keep this running for basically ever and keep movies interesting. And what I'm kind of scared about, and this brings me to my point, it's been a very long build-up to the Eternals looks very, 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 very samey, and I don't like it. It feels kind of soulless. It doesn't feel like they're letting, the director, I think her name is Chloe Zhao. I apologize if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, but the reviews are coming in. They're like, it's one of the weaker one of the worst Marvel movies they've made. It just doesn't feel, it doesn't feel the best. It just feels kind of generic and doesn't feel unique. And that's what I'm worried about, because they're not going to mess up Spider-Man. I have full faith in them to make the new Spider-Man awesome. But they just delayed a bunch of movies. They shifted Doctor Strange out of its original release date in March, which it kind of crammed March, because March is going to get dominated by the Pattinson Batman movie, because that looks so good. But, they shifted Doctor Strange to what Thor's spot was, so now it goes Doctor Strange in May, Thor in July, Black Panther in November. But I'm a little worried. I'm like, Black Panther, also one of the best Marvel movies, because it's so unique. They let Ryan Coogler carry out his vision. The less unique they become, the less entertaining they are. One of the more generic Marvel movies, in my opinion, would be, I want to give a really good example here. Give me a moment. We'll go Captain America 1. I like Captain America 1, but it's pretty cut and dry. And that's why it's not one of the more rewatchable ones or one of the super, no one really says that's their favorite. I mean, there's somebody out there with it, and props to you, but I'm not really into that. The more bland ones are the ones that you don't stick with, and no one's favorites are the bland ones. I think Doctor Strange, his movie, isn't really that great of a Marvel movie. I think it's just pretty all right. It feels a little more bland. Doctor Strange is written so much better in the Avengers movies, it's weird. Doctor Strange is best. Everybody likes Doctor Strange because of what he was written like and was like in Infinity War and Endgame, and I think it's because Cumberbatch and the Russo brothers really worked to flesh out his character more in that than his own movie did. His own movie feels pretty cut and dry. So, yeah, I'm really worried about this Eternals movie. I'm definitely going to go see it because it's a Marvel movie. I got to see them all. I love the Marvel movies, but I am concerned. So I just want to voice my concern. But, when I love Spider-Man, we can all come back here and be like, all right, but remember, Ryan, Doctor Strange 2 better be good. And if it feels generic, you need to really start pulling the panic alarm, because they better not mess up Thor 4 and they better not mess up Black Panther 2, because those are some of your favorites, and they are. They're up there with Spider-Man. I have faith they won't mess with Taika Waititi's vision for Thor 4 and Ryan Coogler's vision for Black Panther 2. But after that, I mean, all their new stuff they're developing, like television shows and, the Blade movie, that better not be, formulaic. That should be really cool and different. So I'm a little worried, but I can't say anything more for now because we just got to see what happens. Last thing, the Uncharted trailer. I'm a big Uncharted fan. It's like my favorite game series. I still don't really like Mark Wahlberg as Sully. Feel like it's not the best fit, but I love the Indiana Jones movies. It's one of my favorite movie series, if not my favorite movie series, period. So I'm excited for it, but honestly, I still think they should have went with Nathan Fillion and the group with Stephen Lang, the group he made that fan film with. If you haven't seen it, look up Uncharted fan film with Nathan Fillion. He got a group of people together, and they made a little 15-minute fan film on YouTube, and it kind of blew up, and it was really good, and I really loved it, and I think everybody that's ever played an Uncharted game knew it was perfect, and Hollywood saw that, and they got Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg. And I love Marky Mark, and I love Tom Holland. He's Spider-Man. I'm obviously a huge fan of this guy. I love him. But I don't think it fits, Sully and Nathan Drake from Uncharted. So I'll definitely go see it, but I might not be the happiest with it. All right. Now we can finally move into the World Series preview. So to start out something a little fun, I have the BetMGM odds for the World Series winner at the beginning of the season. So here we go. The Pirates were dead last with 150 plus 100 and no, not 150, sorry. Plus 15,000. So if you bet a $100 bill on them, you'd get 15,000 back. So then Royals, it was 10,000. Rangers, it was 10,000. D-backs, 10,000. Mariners, 8,000. Tigers, 8,000. I'll put this up on the screen, by the way. Giants, 8,000. Orioles, 8,000. Marlins, 8,000. Rockies, 8,000. For 5,000, it was Red Sox, Angels. For 4,000, just the Blue Jays. Nationals, 3,500. Brewers, 30,000. I mean, it's not 30,000, sorry. 3,000 for the Brewers, 3,000 for the Cardinals, 3,000 for the Phillies. And then for the Cubs, 2,800. For the Indians, 2,500. I find that interesting. The Indians were pretty high up. They were in the top 12. They were 12th, actually. The Astros 11th with 2,200. The Reds at 2,000. They had the Reds at plus 2,000. I find that jaw-dropping. Like, I mean, obviously the Reds finished very well, so they knew what they were talking about. But, I mean, this was the end of last year. This was posted on the 11th. It's not the 11th. The 20th. Oh, wait, sorry. I think it was the end of last year, the beginning. I'm trying to find the exact date this was posted. Okay, so it was last year in November. This is when it was posted. I can't find the exact date, sorry. The Mets at plus 1,800. The Twins plus 1,600. Athletics also 1,600. Rays 1,200. Padres 1,000. White Sox 1,000. Braves 1,000. Yankees 600. Dodgers 400. So a couple bets here. I mean, obviously that Giants one is one that sticks out. If they would have won the World Series, like a lot of people thought they were going to, yeah, because they had this crazy season, they were plus 8,000. I mean, they had the same odds as the Tigers. Think about how different of a year they had than the Tigers. They had worse odds than the. I'm trying to think of a team that's really up here that really shouldn't be. I mean, they had worse odds than the Cubs. The Cubs are only 2,800. That's weird. I mean, they're 8,000. 8,000. The Cubs are 2,800. Another one, they're on the same betting odds as the Rockies and the Orioles. The Giants were. That's crazy. It's crazy when you think about it like that. Obviously, the Pirates at 15,000. I don't think anybody was taking the $100 on them. I don't think anybody really thought Pirates were going to get it together. I like Cabrian Hayes. I like Frazier, but I don't think that's going to happen. Padres is really the one that hurts at 1,000. White Sox obviously really hurts because I really thought they had it going on. 1,000. Braves, good bet. If you put $100 on them right now, you're getting pretty excited. In my opinion, no, you might not take the payout, but that's, okay, that's not really a spoiler because we all know what I think the World Series is going to be. I'm taking the Astros in 6. Yankees plus 600. Of course, the Yankees are overrated. And the Dodgers plus 400 because the Yankees and Dodgers are what every MLB, company wants, ESPN and all them want it to be a LA, New York World Series. And I'm like, why? No fan wants that. It's the two powerhouses of evil. Can't have it. And by everyone, I mean me. And, I'm assuming crap, it is the Smug Podcast. I guess not everybody thinks the same, but, come on. Not I feel like we can all agree Dodgers-Yankees is not going to be any fun for anybody. It's not good. Brewers plus 3,000 also is kind of weird. But, yeah, basically, honestly, the Giants one was really one that sticks out. They put the Cubs a bit high. Twins really high. Plus 1,600. Yikes. Mets plus 1,800. I honestly would have taken that at the beginning of the year. I was high on them. The Astros plus 2,200. That's a pretty nice bet if you did that and they're about to win it. But granted, the Braves been looking good, so I really shouldn't say too much. Other thing we're going to look at is that the MLB did their own predictions at the end of last year that was predicting the next 10 World Series. So maybe we'll do a bit of a series here where we'll come back to this every year because that'd be kind of cool. If I'm still doing the podcast 10 years, it'd be really cool if we were we looked back at this all the way back in 2021. That'd be cool. But here we go. So for 2021, they predicted it would be Dodgers over Yankees. They did the cursed World Series. Why would they ever predict that? But lucky for us, it didn't happen. Neither of those teams are there. 2022, they had Dodgers over Angels. Now, that's possible, but if the Angels get there, I feel like Mike Trout's just going to get a home run every game. Every hit. I'm kidding, but you know how awesome it'd be if the Angels actually made the World Series? That'd be really cool. I know I just made fun of all the LA teams, but they're basically Anaheim, and everybody would like to see. I shouldn't speak for everybody. I feel like a lot of people would like to see Shohei and Mike Trout in the World Series because they deserve it. They're arguably the two best players in baseball, and they're on the same team. They only make playoffs. There's no other sport where that happens. All right, 2023, they had White Sox over Padres. Oh, my gosh, I would flip out. I'd be so happy. Oh, I'd be so happy. That's almost as good as a White Sox-Cubs World Series. That is up there on that level for me because I really like the White Sox. I love this White Sox team. I like what they got going on. Tim Anderson, Jose Abreu, Luis Robert. I love this team. It's a good young team, and I honestly think that's the best prediction that's on this list. 2023, White Sox over Padres, it's very possible. Very possible. Hopefully the Padres can get a good hire into the manager. Very possible right there. 2024, Padres over Red Sox. I think that one is interesting I think we could definitely see the Padres go back-to-back World Series. I don't know if they'd win them both, but I could definitely see them in there twice. I just don't know about the Red Sox pick. But granted, this is 2024. A lot can change by then. A lot can change. 2025, they had Braves over Blue Jays. And once you hit 2025, it's really starting to get hard to predict. I mean, you're going to have whole new superstars by then. Wander Franco might be the best player in the league by a mile. I mean, I love Wander Franco. He's so good. But Trout, maybe it'll just be what we talk about all the time. Who's better, Franco or Trout? Franco or Trout? And then Randy Arozarena in the postseason. I mean, he's the best player when it comes to postseason. Holy crap, he's great. But I find it odd there's actually no Rays on this list for the next 5 years. Are we really going to sleep on the Rays like that? I mean, they obviously know what they're doing when it comes to building talent. But Braves over Blue Jays, I think that's a very possible World Series, especially even in 2025 because they're both such young teams. My guy Bo Bichette, and of course Vladdy Guerrero, he'd be good too. 2026, they did it. They said Mets over Yankees. I feel like 2026, you're giving them 5 years to turn it around. I think the Mets could honestly be there sooner. I don't know what the Yankees are doing, but they're the Yankees. They'll find a way to somehow finesse somebody to go there. Then there's the Orioles over Giants in 2027. That's hilarious. Like, that one's just funny. I don't think that's going to happen. I feel like the Giants by that point, I think the Giants should act. If we were doing this, like we did this right now, and we said predict the World Series till 2030, I feel like the Giants would have to be in there next year or 2023-ish because I think this Giants team has the chance to be good like a year or two more and then slow down. Maybe they were a flash in the pan. I hope not. But maybe they're this year's Rays. They're going to stay being good. I mean, the Rays was a slow rise, but you know what I mean. The Rays, we all thought were going to fall off, and they stayed up. So, Orioles over Giants. Well, I guess I thought they're going to fall off, and a lot of people seem to also. I don't know why I keep referring to everyone. I guess I just think I have the majority opinion. I don't always have the majority opinion because I kind of want to see the Astros win the World Series for some reason. I don't know why. And that's definitely not the majority opinion. So Orioles over Giants, that'd be cool. I'd like to see the Orioles do well. Then it's Dodgers over Tigers. Now we're just getting freaking weird up in 2028. Dodgers over Tigers. I mean, it's the Dodgers, so it makes sense. The Tigers, they're just picking them because they're, bad. So it's like hopefully by that point they get good. A's over Giants would be fun. 2029. At this point, we're just picking things we want to see because it's 2029. Like, come on. 2030 Yankees over Cardinals. Why not? Like, why not? I am saying, though, really the one that stands out to me, there's no Rays. Come on. Come on, guys. The Rays are going to be back in the World Series eventually. Eventually. I love looking back at predictions of what people thought was going to happen in the future, especially with sports. Sports is really funny that way. And because we're all making predictions, we all like to make predictions in sports, and it's hardly ever they come true. That's why there's never been a perfect March Madness bracket, because it's basically impossible. I mean, it's hard to even do a perfect MLB bracket, and that's so many less teams. I mean, by then, we could have completely different rule sets. We don't even know. Like, maybe by then, overtime is determined. Not overtime. Extra innings is determined by a home run derby. You never know. You know what the MLB is going to do. I don't either. Probably people throw fits about it. That's what's going to happen. I can guarantee you that. So, yeah, I hope you enjoyed the prediction part of this. I mean, if you want my 2030 prediction, going Cubs over Rockies in 6. That's my wait, no, they're both NL. Crap, sorry. We're going for my 2030 prediction. We're doing Cubs over Guardians in 6. There it is. Cubs over Guardians in 6. That's my 2030 World Series. If it's Cubs Guardians, or it doesn't matter. Like if it's Cubs Guardians 2030, holy crap! Somebody clip this and send it to me right now. I don't know why you're watching my old videos, but I appreciate it. I really do. I wonder where I am in 2030. Hopefully, I'm watching the Cubs win the World Series against the Guardians. That'd be cool because it's in Cleveland. I'd go to both. I'd go to Chicago. I'd go to Cleveland. That'd be awesome. But granted, I have like 1 in 15 odds of that. No, not 1 in 15 odds. 1 in 30, right? I'm not actually sure how that works. That might be the math where it's got the exclamation point. I don't know why it's the math podcast. No, we can't do this. We already established I messed up the math. All right, so that was it for that part. Let's look at some World Series stats. Last night they played Braves, Astros. Braves won 6-2. But, keep in mind, in the third inning, they had already had 5 runs. And then the Astros ended up scoring 1 in the fourth, and they both scored 1 in the eighth, making it 6-2. The big thing is, though, the Astros had 8 hits. The Braves had 12, but yet the Braves scored 4 more runs. So that's just a matter of, the difference of when hits happened and whatever happened and, what goes on there. Jorge Soler hit a home run. Eddie Rosario was great last night. I mean, he's just been so good. I mean, there's a reason. Obviously, he was the pennant. He doubled in this game. He was the pennant MVP. Adam Duvall also home run. They all around had a good game. Ozzie Albies stole a base, so we had to steal a taco now. So because you stole a base in the World Series, that's always cool. No home runs for the Astros though. I think that partially hurt them. And also there was an error by Dansby Swanson. That was the one error for the Braves. If you were watching that, that was sad. Like it rolled out of his glove, and then he tried to pick it up, and it slipped out of his hand. Then he fell out. It was a whole mess. I felt bad for him. The error I actually didn't see. Oh no, wait, I did see that. It was on Gurriel. Yeah, I saw Gurriel. I can't remember exactly what he did. No, wait, I flipped it. Sorry about that. Swanson was not the one that dropped it. Gurriel dropped. Basically, what happened was. Sorry, it took me a moment to remember this. Ozzie Albies hit it right to Gurriel at second base. He slipped and dropped the ball, and then he put his glove over, and then he tried to put his glove over, and it slipped underneath that. He tried to put his hand and slipped underneath that. He just couldn't get a hold of the ball, and Ozzie Albies was crazy fast anyway, and so that was that. That was not good for him. Carlos Correa didn't have any hits. He was based on he got walked, but I think it's weird. I mean, he was having a really good run of the DS, and he was solid in the pennant too. And then Alvarez, my guy, of course, he got a hit because of course he did, and it was a triple. He's crazy. You can't stop this man. He was also walked, but he also struck out once. I watched 2 at-bats for him, and he got walked, and he struck out. And I was upset because I was like, oh, come on, man. And then, of course, he triples, and I'm not watching. So, Jordan, my guy, my favorite guy in the Astros, because, you weren't even on the team when they cheated. So, you're kind of my guy. I really like what you got going on, Jordan. But I'm telling, I do think they could have possibly cheated in 2019. But, that's regardless point. We don't have any proof of that, so we're just going to stick with this. But honestly, Jordan, my guy, you got to wait till I'm watching to hit home runs. And I'm kind of kidding. I mean, I'm definitely kidding. You should not. You should not. You're trying to win the World Series, man. You do not have to let me determine it. Charlie Morton was a starter for the Braves. He actually broke his leg. So, yeah, but he didn't come out of the game because he felt bad. He wanted to give his team the best he could. And so Charlie Morton, an absolute dog for that. We got to love Charlie Morton. He's on that Rays team last year. Anybody who was on the 2020 Rays is instantly a person I like. I really liked that team last year. I mean, go listen to the old podcast from last year. I loved that team. I just loved what they had going on. I loved it when they beat the Astros. And now, look at this, a year later, I'm rooting for the Astros World Series. I don't know. I'm here for the redemption story. I played too much Red Dead Redemption 2, I guess. I kind of want to see the bad guys become heroes. I want to see it happen. Oh, man, they got... the starter for the Houston Astros got completely destroyed, basically. I mean, they had him in first 3 innings, and they scored 5 runs. So that's not... I mean, the goal of being a pitcher is to not let them score runs. So it was Framber Valdez, gave up 2 homers. He did get 2 strikeouts, walked a guy. But he had 5 earned runs. That's really going to hurt the ERA. That's not good. So his game score, developed by Bill James. This is a bit of a tough stat, so I'll read through it. So basically, you start with 50 points, and you add 1 point for each out recorded, so 3 points for every complete inning pitched. So you add 2 points for each inning completed after the 4th. You add 1 point for each strikeout, and you subtract 2 points for each hit allowed. Subtract 4 points for each earned run allowed. Subtract 2 points for each unearned run allowed, and subtract 1 point for each walk. It's not a perfect stat by any means, but he did have a 21, which is less than half, so it's not the best. Whereas Charlie Morton had a 56, so Charlie Morton had a pretty decent outing. So a lot of numbers for that. Tonight, they are playing again. Game 2 of the World Series. This one will be... I'm trying to pull it up. This one will be back in Houston. So that's exciting. for the Astros. And then after this, we're heading off to Atlanta. So the Astros got to get a win while they're still at home. There was no travel, so I think then they're not going to play again, unless I'm mistaken, until Saturday, because they're going to travel over to Atlanta. So, no. Oh, Friday. Sorry. I don't know why I thought today was Thursday. Sorry about that. So, yeah, it goes Tuesday, yesterday, which the Astros won. No, sorry, the Astros lost. Wednesday at Houston. I'm expecting the Astros to win tonight. Friday they play in Atlanta. And then Saturday they play in Atlanta. And Sunday they play in Atlanta. So the whole weekend they're playing in Atlanta. And then Wednesday would be Game 7. So next week would be a Game 7. If it went to a Game 7, it'd be at the Astros. And Game 6 is at the Astros. I honestly think next Tuesday is going to be the last game. As soon as our World Series is over, I'll have a podcast in the next couple days talking about everything that went on. But, there'll be a new episode of the BS Monday, and we're probably going to discuss some stuff. But this is my big World Series preview. I honestly think what's going on here is this Houston line has been on the whole playoffs. My guy Jordan's been crazy. I just think they got the energy. But, what do you want me to say about the Braves? The Braves have been really good, too. So I really can't dog another team. Both these teams have been super good in the playoffs. To be honest, the Braves have been on a crazy run. Eddie Rosario's been great for them. Is he really going to be World Series MVP? Maybe. It's crazy to think that the Braves lost their best player, Ronald Acuna, and are still in this position. That's mind-boggling. I guess props to me for predicting them to be in the World Series at the beginning of the year. That's a pretty good pick. But I went away from it when I did my playoff pick, which technically your playoff pick should be more accurate than your beginning of the year pick because you're just kind of shooting blind. But whatever. Point is that I want to see the Astros win, and I think they're going to. I'm trying not to let cloud my judgment, but I think this team's really good. The pitching, I don't think is as strong as the Braves pitching. I'm going to be honest. But, and I think Will Smith's an incredible closer, so. The probable pitcher for tonight, let me pull those up really quick, because we all got to know who's pitching for the Astros and who is pitching for the Braves. If this would load, I'm sorry, this is what happens when you get the unscripted podcast. It gets a little more off kilter. So the probable pitcher for tonight is Max Fried for the Braves and Jose Urquidy for the Astros. So Game 3 is supposed to be looking like Luis Garcia and then Ian Anderson for the Braves. Garcia has been his ERA has been this year in 2021, not in the playoff, just in the last 7 games. I'll go to the last 7 games, it'll be better. 3.72. That's been his ERA in the last 7 games. So, that was the MLB season. I can't find his playoff stats. Let me see if I can find those. But he was honestly just pretty much activated on October 5th. So he was in the minor leagues for a bit and for the September, and now he's been called back up. So definitely not their strongest guy to put out there. So that's a little concerning. But Framber Valdez usually is a stud. And last night he got destroyed. So that was weird. And so, yeah. Basically, I do think the Astros are winning this, but maybe I'm going to be surprised. So we will see. Game 2 is tonight. I'm going to go watch that. Kind of here for the Astros redemption story. But if the Braves win, it's just a bunch of nice guys going out and win a baseball game. And, that's good. So, all right. I hope you enjoyed episode 18, Sort of Sports Podcast. Very unscripted today because we only had a couple topics, but I had a lot to say. So I hope you enjoyed. See you in the next one.